We're
All
getting
right.
organized to provide agentic services to Dubai and the
Yeah,
general area.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a,
Cool.
yeah, Dubai is going very strongly, and Abu Dhabi also. The other Emirates are a bit laggards, let's put it that way. But I think that there will be a massive business in that area. I
Just
think I will. Please, bro.
okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that I will contact the chamber. I already find the contacts for who are driving that for the business side and meet with them and see what's going to happen. But it's very interesting, and I know there's strong demand for that.
What's the basic hourly rate they're willing to pay for an agent?
For an agent. I don't know if you charge by hourly rate for agents, but that's interesting approach actually. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it?
My little helpers.
All right. I'm streaming this, by the way. I turned that on, so just FYI. It's we're live early. We don't have
Yeah.
Martin today, so I had to do it myself.
So okay, so it's streaming to the website now. Excellent.
Yeah, it should be.
Well, we made all the geopolitical comments with Tommy before you started live streaming, so that's okay.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
All vanilla now.
And
Uh,
I have to be careful what if this published somewhere because maybe you've heard that there are actually I've heard that hundreds of British tourists that who have been they are in jail because they published the pictures and the locations where the missiles have struck and something like that. So there are a lot of people in jail and they may face even 10 years of prison, and they're taking it really seriously over here. So if there's anything alive, delete it immediately.
Okay.
Like our
Good to
yeah.
know.
one call that we had this napalm discussion, so that should be also.
Gee. Yeah, well, just it is live, so anything you say can be used against you, especially
And
yeah,
probably will.
you
We'll have
probably
those
will.
conversations at our in-person meetups.
In case anybody's asking, Palantir is the best. They're awesome. We should totally use their software.
Thank you for your service.
There, my obligatory patriotism or whatever that would be.
Yeah, from that perspective, I don't know whether people with a massive head of hair are not going to be in a better position considering they're CEO, co-founder of Palantir. So,
Oh, wait a second. I might have I got a solution. I got a solution to that. Here we go.
Is this the? Oh yeah, here it is.
yep.
It's 70s roof.
It's Palantir roof. What are you talking about? I'm now in
What?
a position to take on military contracts.
Why does that hair color work?
I don't know because my kids gave it to me.
It's good. It's great.
There we go. I'm gonna wear this today. Here we go. This is my new look.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
toupee basically.
Bro, I just think you need to go for a marathon. You
Yeah,
just go and
get
do an
the
Ironman. You're done.
yeah, or play a game of tennis in the
Yeah, yeah.
1980s. The problem is this: it's a hat, right? It's a winter hat, so it's actually kind of warm. But I think Rob could wear one of these.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'd give that a shot. What's going on with Agent DB?
I don't know. It's craziness. I'm.
Yeah.
It's I. Yeah. I guess it's exactly the same thing as Rue Vector. It's just positioned slightly differently. I guess marketing makes all the difference.
What is going on with AgentDB? Because I was,
I'm getting like 200,000 downloads a week.
oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just gone nuts.
I may have contributed to that to some extent because I was actually researching using that instead of the more basic elements of RuVector Edge. And uh, Still discussing it with Codex.
There you go. The biggest thing this week has been what's the sparse quadratic subquadratic or whatever. They didn't actually publish any code or anything, so I published it, whatever. I don't know why they didn't. It's pretty good though. I got a language model working on a Pi Zero. So there you go.
Hmm.
I haven't gone down that rabbit hole at all, Roof. What is subquadratic?
Subquadratic, it allows you to I gotta try to explain it.
Let me have a go because I was explaining it to a lady just the other day, so I can the LLMs are taking a string of tokens, and each token pays attention to every other token. So if you take, say, a string of 10, then each one of them pays attention to all the other ones, so you get 10 by 10, which is quadratic. So if you
Okay.
take, instead of 10, you take 1,000, all of a sudden, instead of 100 relations, you've got 1,000,000, and so
Mhm.
on. And the trick
Yeah.
is now that people are figuring out which of the tokens it actually makes sense to pay attention to. So you reduce it, instead of looking at all of them, you look at
Just a
less,
few.
and therefore you don't have quadratic, so you're subquadratic. And that has a massive
In
implications in terms of storage and
memory.
compute.
In memory. And you
Yeah,
see here
well,
that
storage in the sense of memory, yeah.
yeah, so I was working on the 7 billion Mistral and it went from 8.6 to 2.1 gigs. And for smaller models, I was able to get a tiny LLM on a little tiny seed and it used like less than 100 megabytes of RAM. So it takes, and that would have been, as you said, 10 times or 1,000 times more, depending on which way you look at it. So look at this one, 500 million comparisons versus 4.7 million. So it's quite the difference. So I just ran a test this morning on my system here, and this is what I'm seeing, and it's just a massive speed up. So I'm seeing like 40x speed, or I guess 36.8% faster, 7% X faster. So yeah, it's pretty good.
And how are the tokens to narrow down to selected?
How does
That's
it
called
actually
weighted
work?
tokens. That's called weighted token average. So, in fact, if I can tell that this is not an innovation from this company, this was an
No.
innovation from DeepSeek V4. DeepSeek V4 was the first people, in fact, this was published in a 3.5 paper called Subparse Quadratic uh, Attention. It was released in the DeepSeek V3.2 because they were showing that how can you scale a 1.2 trillion architecture model, and it was implemented in DeepSeek V4. And they did something called, because to show the top end million token attention, right, which is something I'm solving for. They did something called HCA, which is called heavily attention compressed tokens, which helps them to do like mini agentic RAG within the LLM to help million context filter, which Ruben has cracked it like with True LLM long time ago, and which I'm trying to crack with open source models relatively recently. But being native to LLM is something a very unique architecture from DeepSeek V4, because what we are doing is something in external system, which helps to enable current architectures, but having it native always is like you can hit the nanosecond levels because it's in the native level.
Yeah, it's amazing. Those guys apparently raised $500 million on something we've been doing for I don't know, several months, like late last year. So I don't know. Positioning,
Crazy.
marketing's everything, apparently.
Yeah.
You know how long it took me to implement their sparse aquatic whatever, quadratic? I didn't. I woke up in the morning and my system had done the nightly sort of build and said, "Oh, someone's getting some attention. We did a better version of it," and that was that. So it was done before I even woke up.
So this mean that even before we get the appliance, we can put this on the chip, some of the smaller models, and
Yeah, well, actually, Dragon's working on getting that on the. I don't know. Have we pushed that yet, Dragon? I don't know.
No, I was waiting for your feedback last night, but yeah,
Okay,
okay,
next week.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, next
we'll
week.
get it.
Next week
We'll get it. It
it will
works.
come as a new
Yeah,
cog.
and yeah, exactly. It's a cog, so you just go to the App Store or a cog store, and it'll work. Remember, it's a tiny device, so you're basically getting like you're not doing massive sentences. You're doing like yes, no, this is good, this is bad kind of sentences. But for most things, that's all you need on the tiny little thing. But on the on like a Pi, you're getting full language models. I guess 7 billion parameter. All right, top of the hour.
Wow.
Let's get going here. Just as an FYI, we are recording and broadcasting on LinkedIn, YouTube, and the record button in Zoom. So anything you say will be recorded for posterity. Yeah, it's been an interesting week here. At least spring is around the corner here in Ontario, so that's good news. How are you doing, Rob?
Finally. I'm good. I'm good. Although we got a frost warning for tonight. So we got to bring all our starter vegetables back into the house one more time. I can't tell you how many times we've done that.
As far as
I'm up
the
a little
starter
further
vegetables.
north. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Nice.
started seeing them early. So yeah,
Okay.
it's great. Great. We got a crazy week and a wonderful summer that's shaping up, that's for sure. Today for Lightning Talks, Ocean's with us. So he's just released a Lion Directive Language, LDNL. So he's going to be sharing use cases for that. And then Chris McGrath might have a few minutes to go through, give us the high points on the job board and sort of the vision of what that's going to evolve into, which is really phenomenal for the community. A great opportunity for all the engineers. We get calls, you know, every week from firms trying to figure out how they can find the talent that they need. So I think this is really going to fill an important hole and provide a great service to the membership too. So excited to hear about that. Madhweet's got some stuff happening on his seed as well. So he's got a demo for us with some stuff that he's been working on. And of
Oh,
course, all
nice.
kinds of events coming up. The big one is May 9th. Tomorrow night is the Southern Florida, Miami chapters kickoff inaugural meetup. And then next week is Halifax. And of course, Budapest is shaping up. And then we've got the Fall AI Summit in the Muskokas that should be open for early bird anytime, probably before by next week as well. So tons of events going on, lots of activity from members around the world. And of course, it seems like Flow and Agent DB have just lit up again on GitHub, eh?
I don't. Who knows? Like what? I don't. It's hard to tell why or how these things go viral these days. But and it's a weekend thing apparently. It's so I don't know. Yeah, it's been a wild week for that. Flow went through one of its viral moments again this week, and I've been sort of dealing with that a little bit, which is good. It's a good, the thing is pretty solid. Ran obviously Dragon's QE fleet on it there a couple weeks ago, which
Yeah,
was the right move. So you can generally tell when things are going well when I don't have a ton of issues. Like and the issues that I've been seeing are very minor. So I guess that means it's generally working. Or at least people aren't complaining, which would be an odd thing.
right.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
This
It's got a
this
ton of
week,
momentum.
yeah, it's yeah. So everything like all those projects, that we cranked out last year, they're all starting to hit, right? They're all kind of percolating, and I don't know if it's like Google or whatever, but it's yeah, they're all getting tons of traffic, so that's good, I guess. So whatever that's worth. This week we've been working on the new retreat site. I'm gonna pull the plug. It's currently not doesn't use the real Stripe. It uses the test net, but I'll give you guys a little sneak peek of what that's gonna look like. Um, all right. So here we got the Agentics. So we're doing this in I guess it's fall. It's in September in
Yeah,
Ontario. Again, prices are subject to change a little bit. I think these are correct, but Brad will have to tell me. Um,
yep,
so we try to keep the price as low as we possibly could. So that means we're not really making much of any kind of profit on a thing, I don't think. These are
Yeah,
basically our sorry.
sorry to interrupt. Those
Right.
are the confirmed. Those are the confirmed prices. We would really like to have some sponsors to help out, but these are the confirmed prices.
Yeah, we could probably lower the price, I guess, if we got some corporate sponsors. But for now, this is what we got, and this is so. And how many people can we put it in this place? A lot, I think.
Pretty
Yeah,
close to 50.
we have 10 single rooms limited. Some of them have already been booked. We have 25 buddy slash family rooms. And I think the main hall fits 55, and we have reserved some other rooms. And the boat tour, we're going to do a sunset boat tour. I think that's capacity about 50. So we're aiming for about 50-ish to come, first come, first serve.
Yeah, countryside of Ontario. So this is close to where a lot of the core, or I don't know, core the originators of our little crew are from, and not far from I think where you live, right, Rob? If I'm not mistaken,
A
not too
couple
far away.
hours, probably
Uh,
same distance as you guys.
same neck of the woods.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so yeah, this is what we're planning. Here's a little agenda. The agenda obviously is a little bit of AI inspired agenda
Placeholder.
making. So yeah, we'll refine that. We'll probably do some presentations. So if you're interested in doing a presentation or whatever, let us know and we'll get you in there. We'll probably do some real world, I don't know, is real world the right physical hardware related hacking as well on things. Since we're in person, we might as well bring some various devices. Last time we did that in Vermont, we brought a bunch of different gear and gadgets to play with, which was kind of fun. Yeah, so we'll get this out next week. The current site is again if you put your credit card in, it's not real. So just throwing it out there. But yeah, you'll be able to register. And if there's any problems, yeah, I'm just kidding. Brad will be Brad will be more than happy to provide the refund. Not just I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. What else have I been working on? So yeah, this week's been a lot of the idea of the sparse system that we were talking about before the start of this. And this is as Rishab was mentioning, this is the idea of creating models that basically use a heck of a lot less RAM and don't look at every token and only look at the tokens that are important. And as you know, a big part of what we've been pushing for over the last several months at this point is the idea of sort of sparse systems. Systems, rather than asking every question, the idea of only looking at the questions that matter and the things within these models that matter. So essentially what this is a approach that allows you to run much larger models on using much less RAM and hardware requirements and GPU requirements. So the first thing I thought of was, well, what if I could take that and do that on some kind of, rudimentary, like Pi or Seed style environment, and it turned out it worked. So I was able to get not a 7 billion parameter model. I was able to get a 7 billion parameter working on Pi, but I was able to get a tiny LLM, which is about a half a billion, I think it's about half a billion parameter model running on a tiny little seed device. So essentially a language model running on a little device that runs on a couple batteries, which is pretty cool. So this is, this is I think the first implementation of anything that like that. Unlike the other guys that said they raised $500 million, they didn't actually put out their actual model or any source code or anything. They just did a press release. This all works. You can try it. I ran it right before the call here to show that I'm not full of it. So we can see here. Well, we'll go up here. What did I do? Anyway, I ran it. It gave me the final numbers. It's fast and it's efficient. You could run these models also in a browser if you wanted to. I'll probably do a browser version of the model that you'll be able to run here. I haven't got around to it. Maybe I'll do it later this afternoon or this weekend. But that'll allow you to run a decent little model in the browser. And the before anyone even mentions it, one of the benefits over the other ones, you can currently run models in browsers as right now, but they're big. It takes gigabytes to download and run in your browser. Nobody wants to wait for a 1 gig download. So this is at least 10 to potentially 100 times smaller in size. So think of a 1 gig file now being a 100 megs or less. So it's meaningful. It's it's not going to be instantaneous, but it's still significant. So in this case, it's about 36 times faster at 1K tokens. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is the larger the token, the larger the context, the more computationally heavy these models become. Right. Last thing I'm blasting through pretty quick. For those who are interested, I'm working on the appliance for Cognitum. Here's a little sneak peek of the dashboard. I don't know if even Dragon has seen it yet, but so this allow us to have basically a cluster of these machines. This is actually running a language model. This one's currently running Llama 3.2, 1 billion parameter model on a little tiny device. And you can go in here. You can choose your cogs. These are different apps that you can quickly get up and running for whatever purposes you want. You can organize by different topics. So if I want to just run the AI ones, I can see the AI related gestures and anomaly detections. I can choose retail if I want to see things like for a retail environment, or I want industrial. I can choose this will detect forklift proximity, which may not be that useful for us but if you're in an environment with forklifts, I'm sure it is. Or you could do so there, and you can create your own. I'll create lots more as well, but there's a lots and lots of different categories. So it'll be inference or
These are
health
all
related.
startups.
Yeah,
They're all startups.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is, what I'm not doing is creating all the UI and login and dashboards and analytics. What I'm doing is creating the scaffolding that allows you to do that,
Yeah.
right? So what I'm thinking is everyone else can build, can create those dashboards. I just want to create the infrastructure that provides you the ability to do that cheaply and efficiently. That's the idea of what's happening here. So you can see the different categories of things, and there's tons of different options.
Ruth, you need to figure out how to measure glucose.
Yeah.
I scan your. No one can do it. Like
glucose requires like blood access, right?
Years away, and all that stuff. So just saying.
Yeah, I don't want to end up with Elizabeth Holmes either. So, the problem with blood is you have to actually have up and physically have the blood. Everything that I'm showing
ridiculous. We have to overcome that somehow.
I'm going to let you do it, Dr. Chris.
It's the challenge. We'll take that
I assessed the level of effort, and I was like, not right now.
So then you can attach seeds. So
even with an extension device.
Yeah, so the idea is you can have a whole bunch of these little. So there's the appliance. These are the more powerful machines with MPU and so some other additional capabilities. Then you can add your seeds. The seeds are the sort of sensors, and then you get your ESP32s and things like that attach to the seeds. And this will find and manage all those things. You can see analytics and see what's happening in your fleet. You see your OTAs and all the different things. It includes a little mini brain. So the idea of a second brain, that this essentially will sit inside any environment and give you a secondary way for the system to learn and adapt and understand. So think of like I'm in I don't know, a dental office, and I need the system to remember the key characteristics of different patients without ever leaving the parameters of that office because of in the US maybe HIPAA compliance. This is completely air gapped. There's no internet connected to it. So it can operate independently of a cloud environment, which solves GDPR in Europe and various forms of compliance for other industries where you can't connect to the internet or share or personal information. You can inherently do that in the same way that you can have a filing cabinet full of like patient information in your office. It's the same idea. Your filing cabinet isn't going into the cloud, kind of thing. But unlike your filing cabinet, it knows and understands all the interconnected relationships of those things. And here, this is what the cluster looks
Another
like.
example, Rube, is in fleet telematics, the driver privacy. So driver safety, driver monitoring, but there's new laws now in Europe that say that stuff has to stay on the edge. So this is the perfect use case for it.
Yeah, it's basically infusing all it. If you want to think it really simply, you can now that I got a language model that I've been able to stuff in this thing using this sub-quadratic stuff. it's essentially the ability to run Claude code or Codex or whatever, PyDev locally inside the box. So anytime you've ever lost internet and you're like, oh my God, Claude stopped working, solves that problem. That's the right. It'll work independently of Claude, and you could use or Anthropic or whatever, but you can also escalate to that. And here's the guide system because everything needs a guide. Oh, it looks like I might have a little error there. But yeah, so this is kind of, you can go through it. I'm hoping to have this out, I don't know, a few weeks from now, probably. Need to do some more testing, but works for me. There you go. I don't know. You guys, I saw some hands up. Mario, how's it going?
I'm doing fine.
I think,
So I was when you were talking about running these big models on the small hardware, I just looked into running things like diffusion models as opposed to LLM.
I have looked at diffusion.
Any luck?
I've got it to work, and you can find. I think I've got a diffusion implementation somewhere in my pile of Rue vector stuff. I don't know. I just I haven't found any particular use case for it that seemed other than images that seemed particularly.
Well, that's the idea, right? Images and videos, right? Imagine if you could do images and video on small hardware. That'd be fantastic.
Let's do it. Okay. Let's crank her up. Here, 1 sec. I'm gonna let's see. Let me show you the new some of the new features of RuFlow while I'm cranking it up. All right.
Nice.
So in this case, I'm let's see here. So I'm in my Ru vector folder. I've got my various components. So I'm going to do the ADR. So I've got different ADRs now. Now, for those who aren't familiar, I have a plugin system that uses the plugins for Claude Code. So I go to plugins, and I'm just going to make sure that I have everything I want. So I'll go to Reflow. We can see here, I'm just going to update to my most recent. Looks good. And I'm going to browse whatever I've got. I've got them all installed. You probably don't want to install all of them. That takes a bit of overhead, but I've got a lot. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to use the goal plan, create an executive plan. So I'm going to do that. And let's create detailed research for the implementation of a diffusion image and video model. Is that using the
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
yeah,
Roof,
using
the newer crop of diffusion models, they're actually pretty good at coding and analyzing poetry because they don't have this forward-only kind of feature that the transformer models have. So
Okay.
I would not limit to the just image and video. I would just
encoding models
coding models.
and poetry.
It's like analyzing poetry. It's not like writing poetry.
Pottery or poetry?
Poetry, and it's like
models and pottery. Sorry, my spelling's better on Mondays. Encoding models for based on yeah, right. Let's do that. All right, that's it. So now
Mario,
I'm going to use that plug in, and we'll let it run for a while, and we'll come back to it later.
Mario, can you throw out a couple use cases while he's cranking that up so I can? So
Oh, well, I mean, most people are using video generation for, marketing and outreach and things like that, right? So that's one use case they can think of. Another thing, you could, when you have a chatbot assistant, you could have a video describing what you need to do as opposed to telling the guy how to do it, right? There's so many,
like UGC ads, things like that.
I have no idea what that is, but probably
user generated ads.
Oh, yeah, that too.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
and
the user generated ad. What
use
so
them too.
Yeah, why would you want some like Coke? I create Coke ads for myself?
Yeah, like testimonial, more like testimonials. It's or viral ads, the things that are on TikTok and Instagram.
Thing that would promote RuFlow.
Yeah.
Not that you need it.
Apparently, well, I told you guys I knew I made it when one of my son's friends came over and said he saw me on my project on TikTok. He's like, "You're the real deal, man." Like,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. Hey, this
According to a
is evil.
16-year-old, I'm the real deal. That's exciting.
There is an evil idea. You can generate the ads, like for example, like to generate the ad for the roof row. If you get your model running very fast, you can get, when the user comes to your page, you can get the demographic and tailor the ad content to like, or the sort of the ad like framing to whatever the demographic is.
Yeah. Yeah. And oh, by the way, guys, they apparently Claude has increased their usage this week. Although it didn't help the one account that I had that ran out of usage on Tuesday. I don't know if any of you guys noticed that the usage numbers go up, but if you're already maxed out your max account, it didn't seem to make any difference. But
Is
I don't
that
know.
why it was so slow like a couple of days, like the past couple of days? It was like,
Probably they got
Well,
SpaceX.
I'm not using the Max account, but I've been using the Pro account, for light use. And I noticed that over the last 2 weeks, it's become hardly usable because they had lowered their usage limit so much.
I don't know
During the
what's
day.
going on with. For some reason, I just zip files won't go up. Claude won't accept zip files from me anymore. It's random. I don't know what's going on. Anybody else have that problem?
Zip files? I don't know. I did have those nightly routine things that I run where it does like the research at 3 o'clock in the morning. They were failing for about a week and they started working again on Thursday. I didn't change anything. So they've
Could be
obviously had some
usage.
issues. It's 3 a.m. I do
Okay.
3 a.m. because generally it's not a problem at 3 a.m. Eastern, but I guess it's been an issue. This is account. I've got multiple Max accounts. This is one that I use just for automated stuff. Uh, yeah, it's so I just got a response, but I know we'll jump back and get the Hoshin here in a sec. But apparently, we do have a response from that research I just did. So here's what it's saying. Came up with an interesting plan. So it says that, yeah, we can do it. Diffusion image video model on Rube LLM sparse attention. Working native Rust implementation, generates images. These are pretty small images, but whatever. Ships, it looks like it can do there's different related ADRs. We can do video. All right, I'll guess we'll see what it cranks out, I guess. So here's the trick. So for these sorts of things, and I use this all the time these days. So I'm gonna create a new branch called Sparse Mario, and then I'm going to loop. Hit the wrong button. Loop in 5-minute increments until complete, validated, benchmarked. I'm going to optimize that as well. Optimized and benchmarked. Continue until complete. That loop option is by far the best thing ever. Some of these will run for days. This won't, but depending on what you're doing, if you have like a backlog of like in Rooflow, I had 1,700 issues that were basically open. So I just let it run overnight. Got up in the morning and it addressed all the major ones. It can close everything. The loop works great.
I
The
saw
loop
Nick,
is deterministic, so that's what's good about it.
Mm-hmm.
oh, I just saw in your post, Ruben, that from today that you said you woke up this morning and it had done all of these things. Is this how you're describing? Is this what you do to run overnight?
No, I do that differently. And let me show you that quick if you're curious. Let's go to Claude Code for a sec. I use the schedule option, but you can see it's called a routine, I think is what they call it. And here, let me show you what that looks like. I'm just going to share one more time. I promise this is it. All right, so if you go to routines and you see here, hopefully you can see my screen. You see
Yeah.
nightly research, 3 a.m. All right, so I can see that, I ran one earlier, just I was thinking about making a change, but the one that ran tonight at 3 a.m., this is what ran. You can see that I created research. It created this Minerva, whatever. But this one was actually ended up being pretty cool. And what it does once the research is done running, it creates this was from last night. Hit this one here. It builds it, it tests it, it benchmarks it, real numbers on a whatever machine, and these are the final stats. So basically, what this did last night is it figured out a way to make the vector inference way faster and more efficient. And it publishes it. And what's cool is it becomes like SEO really quick. So if you go back here, let's go to the one for a few days ago. I'm suddenly getting all this traffic for it before I even woke up in the morning. So the other day, where was it? There's a lot of stuff in here. Tutorial. This is the one. No, this isn't it. Sparse. So Sparse, whatever had gone viral. So this had done it for edge-based, whatever. Number one result for the thing kind of thing, right? Before I even got up in the morning and everyone's searching for it. And I'm like, I got all these messages on this thing that I didn't know I even built. I'm like, what the heck am I getting these messages for regarding, subquadratic sparse attention? And apparently someone had done a press release and I had unknowingly created the first implementation of that thing while I slept. And I say I very loosely. It had.
Yeah. No, it's
but
cool.
yeah.
It's cool that routines, is just that simple utility just with the right prompt. I see you in your prompt there, you say use state of the art, look through Archivix and all of these things. So you're doing your prompt is good as well in your routine, right?
Yeah, this is the prompt right here. You can see it.
Yeah.
Let me just pop it. If you guys want to use it, I'm just gonna pop it
Yeah,
into gist for
exactly.
you.
That's so useful to
Yeah.
have. You should
Yeah,
put a
here.
repo with all your prompts.
Yeah, I should. Yeah. Well, most of it goes into the gist. So this is a schedule nightly agent, right? For Claude Code routines. We'll call it routine.md. And I'm not going to make it secret, and we'll create it public for you. Here you go.
Right.
I'll pop this into the chat for you guys, and just go and remember you can invoke this literally if you go into where the heck did where'd it go? Oops, I lost my
Claude routines, right?
yeah.
I see it now. I'm on the pages. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, and so basically, if you add slash schedule in Claude Code CLI, it'll spawn off the routine, and you should be good to go.
Is the routine automating what you would normally do manually? So it's an automated task, or does it do anything deeper or different, Rube?
It's automated.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fully automated. Yeah. So it basically automates everything that I would normally do, but yeah, I'm not sure if that answers your
It
question, but
does. Yeah, it does.
It does. Thank you.
Thanks.
That's cool. Super perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing that.
Sorry, a small comment. In my case, this routine doesn't work well because they said that everything what I run here is in sandboxes. So then I try to access to some external API. It doesn't work. I don't know how it works in your case.
oh, yeah, there's a way. Yeah, I figured out that as well. Let me show you how I got around that. Right. Well, sorry, I've got too many screens again. I keep losing where I'm supposed to be.
Slash schedule on Cloud Code. You mean the web version as well?
Yeah. So there's you've got oops, is it sharing? Okay. So you can see here that I've got the environmental variables. So I put the environmental variables for different things I'm working on in there. So I included the environment in this particular scenario. I included my PAT for GitHub. That's how I can post to my gist when I'm done. Or let's say I want to post to a Slack channel, I'd add the Slack token to that. The other thing you can do here, you can add connectors. I use those sometimes. I'm kind of like I like to build my own thing, so I don't really use that too much. You can choose behaviors and you can define sort of some of the permissions as well. And I think you can edit those from Claude CLI, but it's easier to do it from the website. And you can add different triggers as well, and you can manually invoke the triggers. So if I want to go and just run this, I can just click the run now button, which I did earlier, and that's how I got to see what I did today. So I did this before the call started. That was this, I think it was this one. Yeah, no, that's one, this one. And it builds all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't even know what this is. High dimensional vector. It's all vector stuff because this is my root vector folder. But if I was to do it in like root flow, it'd be related to that. So if you want to use like I don't know, whatever, you just point it at the right repo kind of thing. Mandeep, how's it going?
I'm well. I'm well, thank you. Now that you haven't answered my question, is so basically just from Cloud Code.
Okay.
Pointing.
Oh, Casey, you've had your hand up for a while. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having these sessions, Roof. I have a friend who's in charge of the Milwaukee Heart Hospital, specifically the children's side of it. And we were talking about the seed and its ability to do kind of like the heart rate monitoring and pulsing. And he had talked about wanting to potentially use it for monitoring the heart rate of children in a room, in like an incubator room. And he was wondering if there was kind of any access to be able to use like the Meta SDK for like Meta glasses to give them to nurses to be able to kind of see what's going on in the room. Does it have any ability to do something like that, or is that something we might be able to discuss?
Sean got me into that last week, and I don't know if Sean's on today or not, but Sean was telling me about his sort of glasses that he had, and so I started investigating that after our call because I was curious. And it turns out that there are a number of sort of smart glasses and whatnot that can be used. Now, what I ended up deciding was not to use the one with the video because I wasn't a big fan of the video, but I was using like haptic and audible sort of notification. So, and I'm gonna probably publish the code here maybe in a week or two when I get a chance. But basically, what it does is it uses the sensors, tells you, let's say in this scenario, what you need to look at. Now, it's not meant to. It's not FDA approved. So what this is going to be is a kind of augmentation to your own sensory input, meaning it's helping you understand what's happening around you, but ultimately the decision for what you do and what that means is up to the practitioner to say, okay, this patient needs further sort of help. But in that scenario, it can instantaneously tell you when a certain patient, a baby, is struggling before, often significantly before the actual instrumentation associated with that particular patient is capable of knowing, because it sees and understands signals, and then it can infer much more quickly than traditional DSP that exists within these heart monitoring systems or other systems that exist. And it also, depending on the type of like sensory input, like a 16 gigahertz radar, it can detect things like blood pressure and other internal vital signs much more efficiently remotely. Now, again, no FDA approval. So what that means is you're not using it as exact diagnostics. We can do cryptographic witness chain on it, meaning we know exactly when the problem happened, but it's too new for, I'm just saying use at your own risk is what I'm saying.
Sure. Is there any issues with like I guess density of signals? So like if we're assuming like a room full of incubators, is there any reason why it couldn't distinguish between 10 or 15 different individuals?
It can, well, I've never tested it to that extent. just to be clear. But in the house that I have here, which is 5 unique individuals, I have absolutely no trouble distinguishing the unique signatures of each of the people who live in this house, my wife and children, and my breathing habits. I've got my system running right now next to me. It's actually measured every single heartbeat, every breath I've taken for the last month and a half. And I've cryptographically signed every single one of those heartbeats. And it's using a sparse approach. So that means that I'm not generating gigabytes of data to monitor millions, or not millions, but thousands of heartbeats that I've taken. I can also, which is interesting, I can also correlate the different things I'm working on and the stress levels of the things that I'm doing based on the output of my screen and the audio of the output of my computer. And it says that certain customers or certain projects or certain things are stressing me out, and it knows exactly why and how, which is kind of weird. So what's that song? Every breath you take. It's I'll be watching. It's literally that.
And now you know who you don't answer.
Yeah, that's the AI telling me. Mario's done another PR. He's stressing me out. No, I'm just kidding, Mario. Sorry, someone else
Oh,
had a question?
you just said it was beside you. How is it measuring your breath beside you?
It's I've got people who don't like 5G are probably not going to like this, but it's a 60 millimeter radar that is pointed right at my head. It's about 6 feet away from me. I mean, unplug
That
it
is
here.
crazy.
Yeah. Here, I just unplugged it. This is the device. Tiny. Now inside this is a little light. I think it's light. It's radar of some sort. And basically it's pointed. It's over there, and it's pointed straight out at me like this. So that creates a little, and I bought this for $10.
Wow.
And it connects via USB-C. And I think Stu.
Do you
Yes,
have a
sir.
write-up of how you set that up? Because that kind of answers the question I was
I
asking
do.
about.
It's in Review, and I've got. Oh, by the way, I've got a new version of Review coming out with the quadratic sparse stuff.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that'll. I can share the link. And Stu, I think you've been working on some of this as well, haven't you?
I have using a lot of the similar stuff that that you have. I don't. Do you want me to share the screen real quick or no?
Sure, go for it.
All right. Somebody's gotta allow the request. Nick.
I did. Yeah, you're good.
Okay, great. Okay. So this is something I was showing off this morning where I'm trying to show muscle activation. So as my wife talks about the fact that I have a Jarvis heart here because I have an M5 stack along with the M60, and I've got 7 of the ESP32s around along with an LD2450, a pair of those, and an LD604, which gives you XYZ plane stuff. And together, I'm not on the plate right now, but when I'm on the plate, these muscle groups actually light up depending on what I'm doing. And so that part's working. I'm having more difficulty getting the ESP32s to actually give me a wireframe. Normally, when I do it, it shows me a jumble of skeletal stuff sitting in a ball. So I'm gonna have to get that part working, but it turned out for my need for what we were trying to do, this turned out to be more relevant. And so the good news is, guys, it's experimentation. Ruve spent a bunch of time working with this. I've spent hours having Claude tell me, Stu, you're so silly. None of that roof stuff actually works. You really can't believe that fiction, etc. And until I pounded it through its head that said, read the damn ADRs and then tell me what's real. And then finally, when I got it to read all the ADRs and synthesize all 94 of them in the review, it finally went, holy shit, this works. And then allowed me to go use it. So Ruve, I guess my question is, while you're enhancing that, the ESP32 S5s now work with 5 gigahertz. Oh, there we go. Now it's starting to do some of the other stuff where I'm shifting side to side. the new stuff works on 5 GHz. Is there anything that you're doing to enable that? Because that would give us a lot more channel state information that we can use and utilize.
So
Just
you're not the
a
first.
request.
You're not. Yeah, you're not the first to ask.
Yep.
If you want to do a PR, feel free. I'm just a little overwhelmed. I've got
Yeah, yep.
five
I
different
try not to
projects.
send you PRs because you had said that it was a lot, and so I'd be happy to, but I'm going to wait for you to push whatever the latest one is.
Yeah, right now I'm working on the quadratic sparse system for RuView, which will
Yep.
allow you to put the inference directly on the ESP32. So I'm not going to go as far as to say it's an LLM. It's sort of kind of an LLM, but it's definitely inference-based AI, and I
Okay.
put it directly on the ESP32. So what that means is, in what you're doing is you can, have a steady stream of data coming from the ESP32, kind of like
Yep.
when you stream from an LLM, the streaming
Yep.
mode, but it's getting data that's not just the sort of CSI related data, which is like numbers and math. This is like telling you what it means in a kind of form of language, which is, for what you're
Ah,
describing here, easier to interpret.
that would be much better because the challenge I'm having is signal coherence after getting it all into RuVector. I mean, just to give the rest of you guys a very quick sense of this, here's heart rate, here's breathing rate. I've got HRV. I've also got um, a polar H10 on here. I've got another one coming in today from Europe that's supposed to replace both of these. So I've just been experimenting, and this will give you an idea of these are the sensors I have hooked up. Right, so there's quite a few of them, different ones. The LD2450s, which are great. The MR60s, I have a left and right, just to do background. And then the ESP32s are basically the CSI channel nodes. And so there's a lot here that you can pull together. I don't know what we need. So right now it's easier to pour cash at the problem, pull it all together, figure it out, and then down select afterwards. At least that was my philosophy. Roof, if you have any other thoughts, I'd love to hear it because I'm just trying to figure out how to get it to work and then to back off and still have it work with less and less equipment.
That's kind of what I'm doing. I
Yeah,
start
okay.
and then I finesse and I optimize, I sparsify, optimize, loop till as optimal as I can possibly get it. I
Yep.
think what you're doing is amazing. It's exactly what we should be doing. We should do a demo. I need you on my review to respond to all the haters.
I'd be happy to kind of talk about that. The interesting thing is when you actually grab, the idea of that the rest of RuVector and you take all the background knowledge base that we have here and then pour it in and then start to say, well, what do we have by audience, by competitors, by evidence level, by, population, by outcome, right? What can we do in the research evidence and the contraindicators, all of that stuff, right? I mean, that's the stuff that you can do when you really want to kind of dovetail it in and dive into this stuff and see all of the information. That turns out to be fairly to pull that in, and then you've got your knowledge base, and then you can start to ask it, hey, I've got this kind of medical issue, what can I do about it? So it's the combination of the real live AI meets the real world sensors, plus the knowledge base on RuVector brought together, a visualization that for people to understand what's there, and then a chat session that picks, are you a user, a trainer, a physical therapist, or a doctor to kind of pull all of that together and say, what's the voice I want to use? Now you tell me what you have, and I'll start to build you something that works. So that's the intention for this particular use case, but I'm only sharing it, with you guys because I'm grasping at straws trying to figure out what is possible and then what we can apply, similar to how Ruvis taught us to approach this. So the good news is it turned out to be more useful in more ways than I had originally conceived of up front.
It's amazing. And it sounds like what Casey was mentioning in regards to the neonatal unit as well. Imagine if you could, detect problems with, infants before they become significant.
Right. Matthew had an idea of taking multiple of these, putting them as pucks around the room, and having them
Yeah.
work and interrelate with each other. And that I thought would be a brilliant strategy, especially for that a room of multiple people, because then they all start to act as second, third, and fourth dimensions against each other, and you get much better resolution.
And Stuart, you said this is it's in the form of like a plate. That's how you're doing it?
Yeah, sorry. I happen to be working with a group of people that have a vibrating plate called a power plate. And when you stand on that, it runs 30 to 40 hertz vibrations, trimonal harmonal vibration up through the whole body. And it's every
wonder-
NHL team, every NFL, they all use it, but it's also great for anybody who's got osteoporosis, falling risk, etc. So my concern was
wonder
you
if,
have this brilliant plate and nobody knows if it works. And so I thought,
wonder-
how can we use roof stuff to show it?
Could you like take a smaller version of that plate and put it underneath like a incubator cell is what I was thinking about. So you can manage, like, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, you could do all of that. I mean, the point of this is whole body vibration. I don't think you'd want to vibrate an infant quite at that level.
Well,
But
to be fair, I don't know how intense the vibrations are, but yes,
it's a pretty
that's a
intense
solid point.
vibration.
That's a
It
good point.
activates
Keep in
the
mind,
muscle 50 times a second.
Yeah, keep in mind everything that we're doing when it comes to the review system involves various forms of wave patterns for the most part, right? So whether that's a vibration which is auditable, or whether it's subsonic, something ultrasonic, things below or beyond our ability to hear. There's a whole world of different sort of frequencies that we are able to sort of dissect. And when you start thinking about the dissection, so think about, for example, ultrasonic frequencies. There's a frequency just above our ability to hear that can actually influence things like your mood, or and so you can subtly adjust. For example, if you have a tendency towards depression based on things, the sound waves that you basically can't hear, that'll adjust and make you slightly happier, or other various things. Now, why is that important? Well, let's say in a school and you've got 1,000 students who are, and a third of them have some form of hyperactivity. A subtle harmonic that sort of that permeates the school can actually reduce the ability, or improve the ability for students to focus. Stuff like that, right? There's sort of all these interesting opportunities. Another example would be the sort of subsonic frequencies that a pipe might put out, and there's water flowing through the pipe. Now you don't hear those pipe noises generally, but the change in those vibrations could indicate a leak. And the other interesting thing that I was looking into when I was doing that ghost hunter thing, turns out that most of these ideas of like ghosts and whatnot are actually our brains interpreting these subsonic or ultrasonic frequencies as a kind of secondary ghostly effect, and we're interpreting that as something other than what it is. It's just the noise or vibrations of old pipes in an old building, but we see that as a ghost, or we interpret that as a ghost kind of thing.
Hey,
So there's a
Rolf,
whole lot of ways we can use this tech.
Rolf, here is another idea for you when speaking of vibration. I saw the demo yesterday from Schneider, and I think it's kind of open knowledge. You can diagnose when the electric motor is going to break or malfunctioning by monitoring its power consumption, because normally they consume like the sine wave, right? But if there is one of the bars broken inside, there is a little like disturbance in the wave.
Disturbance in the force. Exactly. That's 100%.
Yeah. So it's not like a power consumption. It's not like the proper like sine curve anymore. It has this little like no
that and so back to the idea of quadratics and sparse systems. So the negative space, the normal harmonic, the normal vibration, the normal operational state of a thing. I don't care. When it's normal, it's fine. What I care about is when something is abnormal, when it changes from the baseline. So when you're training these systems, they learn based on what it normally is. And there's a sort of, let's say it's a spectrum, and it fits within that, and generally it doesn't go beyond it. That's normal. Now, as soon as something goes beyond that, and it can be slight, it can be infinitesimally small, but the system can then detect that, well, the electrical charge or the harmonic of the vibration, whatever, is outside of the norm. And suddenly the system spins up and says, well, we got to look at that more closely. That's when the cluster of agents spins up and says, well, I'm going to explore that a little bit more in more detail, or I'm going to escalate that to a person or a better model to do better in sort of analysis of it. That's
Exactly.
that's the power of these systems.
Exactly. Because what they're doing, it's trivial to do for single motor because it's just anomaly detection. But if you get a whole plant of motors and they all like consume at different offsets, like, and then one of them start breaking up, like that's when you want to interfere. And it's
Yeah, and back to what I was showing earlier, that's kind of what I was thinking that the App Store concept that I was telling you guys about would do. So when you go in here and you see that there's an option for sleep apnea or whatever, it should learn those baselines, and then much like what Stu was showing us, we can quickly just deploy the thing, and then you've got Claude to kind of run with it once you're up and running. So, sleep apnea is a perfect example. Really easy to sort of detect, and you don't necessarily need to have a big device to detect it. So and again, when you show up to your doctor, you've got, well, at 3 hours into my sleep every night, I've got some problems, and according to this device, this is what's happening. My heart rate's is dropping, my blood pressure is rising, or whatever it happens to be. That sort of thing. One click, you can choose where to deploy it. You can choose how you're going to deploy it, and you're off to the races. And the idea is this is cheap and easy, like affordable for the average person, rather than having to go buy a $1 million MRI. You're putting together some ESP32s and a few pies kind of thing. That's the idea anyway. All right, I think we have some presentations as well. Manjweep, you want to show what you've been up to?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. I was playing around with the Cognitum seed, and just learning a few things. So I will quickly.
And thanks for the bug finding, by the way. Appreciate that.
I appreciate that. Oh, great to kind of get a kind of response back from you. I'm doing something right in that case.
I actually appreciate bugs. Bugs are always appreciated. I'm a good creator of bugs.
All right, appreciate that. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to just share my screen here. I've just done a quick write-up of what I meant to show. So here it is. I'll probably just show you, give a view. So I have the seed device connected to my laptop, and I had installed Neural Trader into it. And initially when I ran it, I think it picked up some kind of hard-coded information, which probably is to do with a lot of volatile assets. So it's like, okay, probably is not the right thing. So I said we stopped it, and I used general Python script on my MacBook, created a tunnel, and effectively used Yahoo Finance's information to do some backtesting. So basically, what it talks about is an ETF, basically SPY, which is the index, and then how do we use the information over the 60,000 days, or basically a number of days in the device, vectorize and do some work around it. So long story short is that first one is that the bar information, obviously this is the vector store, this is RuVector, so k nearest neighbor stuff, effectively looking at what are the most closest looking performance in the past day, and then it's giving a number of aggregated next day predictions. And few scenarios, one was like generally pattern matching. So effectively it missed out a number of basically performance were negative. Effectively, if we just apply basic stuff, then initially it was like providing a kind of a 5 basis point threshold to make a decision, and slightly better. Won't go spend too much time, and I'll just show you what I did first, and then I'll say what the main thing is. So it is basically single asset. And then we looked at things like the regime, and I'm not from trading, so I have not actively traded before, so for me it was a learning experience. So obviously the whole 200-day moving average coupled with what happened at major events in the past from a trend point of view, And there was this decision logic about it's not just moving average, but also, what do previous events and patterns say that makes the decisions. And then looking at, like, if we add the number of assets, what kind of decision gates look, and if we put them side by side, effectively, it was like, if you go, these were the performances. So if you just buy something with index front, obviously it'll outperform any day over a period of time. Drawdowns, etc., could be more in that case, but I guess overall the story of here is from a retail reality point of view. If someone were to put money, I mean, if they're not an active trader, I think simplicity probably wins over a lot of clever things. So what that means is, if I come very quickly to my GitHub, where I put this in here, so 1 second before I do that, I guess the point I was trying to show here is maybe I think the mind map will do more favor. So very quickly again, we talked about the cognitum seed, obviously, which is at the vector store, which is where we had the data. We had the witness chain, which meant that information was verifiable. What I did notice was that we are using an 8-dimensional embedding, I think, Roof, for any information that goes into the neural trader. And that kind of allows the whole pattern matching to work. The 4 strategies I was talking about. Yeah, sorry.
And just the reason I'm using such a small dimension is there's a ton of data, right? And the 8-dimensional embeddings for like a ongoing stream of financial information is a nice balance between, computationally heavy, which would be significantly higher if I used a bigger embedding, but relevantly connected through a kind of interconnected causal graph. And so I found all I really needed was eight dimensions for that. So it'll run lightly, fast, and without any real computation. No RAM kind of thing.
Okay, I understood. So not taking much time here, very quickly wanted to just bring this up. So I have kind of documented my journey of what I did. I'll put it on the chat in here, which is basically how I started, like what were some of the findings, what was the approach taken, how did I connect to it, as well as each of like what the workflow really is. I mean, I probably may not have been able to do favor in my description about it, but I'll put it. But again, long story short is that I think for my question is, like in a real life, like if you were to use real data, how would you actually use it on the device? So obviously the cog is there, the neural trader cog is there, but what would the real life scenario look like from a, can you do
yeah, they're generally speaking, what you've done is actually really good. This is you've outlined this really well. You're getting a baseline. You're saying what do I need to do and how do I need to prove it? And you've proven that there's potential opportunity for a certain trading pattern that'll consistently be positive versus negative and adjust in a volatile market. Right now, the market is optimal for trading because it's volatile. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, and you're making money on either direction. Stagnant markets are great. Now, I've got an extension, a plugin for Rooflow called Neural Trader. If you install that, you get the /trader option. The /trader option gives you the ability to set up the different regimes, backtesting, portfolio optimizations. Now, if you want to start trading quickly and you're not overly concerned about costs, then what you can do is you can use the schedule option to schedule the sort of hourly or 15-minute increments, whatever it is your trading pattern is, using the Claude, whatever scheduling infrastructure that they have. Now, if you want to scale that and you want to start doing that not on one stock but thousands, that's where the seed and the appliance would come in, because you can then take that same sort of structure that you're doing in Claude and then apply it in the on the seed and the appliance and have it run all the time. But rather than doing one, you can do thousands of concurrent sort of stocks and trading patterns and systems. So if it may not execute more than once a day or even once a week, but when you spread that out across 1,000 different possibilities, you start finding opportunities in that noise, if you will. But you're not spending a fortune on an agent running all the time, consuming all your Claude tokens and whatnot. So what you're really going to do is you're going to find, like you did right now, the optimal trading pattern. Then you're going to feed the data directly to the seed, and the seed is then going to get that stream of data from Alpaca or wherever you're getting your trading information from. And most of that isn't going to work because it doesn't fit the pattern what it needs to understand to actually make the trade. But as soon as the pattern changes, as soon as the fundamentals of what it's looking for are either inside or outside the bounds of what's acceptable, it'll jump in and make that executed trade. And it can go from dormant to trading in microseconds. And now most of the APIs don't support microsecond trading, but the reality is you're going to be able to understand when that pattern broke or changed before anybody else, because it's always just doing that and looking for those patterns. That's your next step, is applying that data to the seed. Feed it directly to the seed through WebSockets or whatever it is that you're getting your data from.
In this case, I have basically fed the Yahoo Finance information. So that is my basically universe of information against which I backtested. Yeah. Personally, for me, like, I think this is a great way to people to actually understand and be educated on trading, to actually learn the basics. I think, for me, like in like last 24 hours, I kind of got the fact that, if you are someone starting off, forget all of the noise, simplicity is something great. But I think more so, I think also would be a great way for more like day traders, or like some people who don't really want to do trading once, like as you say, when the right moment arises, but don't miss out. I think that's going to be my journey. But yeah, that's all I had to show.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Nice work, Manjweep. This looks spectacular. Just as a quick, everyone wants to make a buck on neuro trading. Again, it takes some practice. You're not going to set and forget. What Manjweep just showed is exactly the process you need to go through. You need to learn and understand. But one of the quicker ways to get up and running, just as an FYI, if you're comfortable, and don't bet more than you're willing to lose. And when I say bet, I mean it's bet. You're gambling, like straight up. But as long as you realize that. Now there's a trader option now in Brewflow. So if you go in and you install the NeuroTrader plugin, you then have the ability to do the trader, and you can do different trading options, regimes, and so on. And these can all work in unison to the self-learning capabilities. This is probably your easiest way to get going. Just go in here, choose trader, and say, tell me more. Right, and then that'll set you down the sort of path. Once you've got a structure that you're comfortable with, validated, you're feeling it. It's something that is going to likely make you more than it's going to lose. Then what you're going to do is you're going to use the schedule option, schedule, and then you're going to schedule that to basically run. Not, and when you do the schedule, it runs independently of your environment. So schedule this to run every hour or whatever it is that you want to do. You could do 5-minute schedule. It's just going to use more tokens. But so schedule 5-minute increments, that kind of thing, and it'll do that. But this will get you all set up. Everything it installs the NeuroTrader package. It tells you how to use it. It'll do the signal scanning. Everything that Manjweep just showed you becomes an option. This is how I'm doing it anyway. Let's just look at Mario's. There we go. Mario's branch, final state. What did we create here? What did we? And I didn't see Ocean on this call today. I'm not sure if he was able to join us. If he is here or under a different name, please.
He's battling some bugs, unfortunately, Roof. So he's gonna have to postpone until next week.
Oh, bugs are a thing. If we love bugs, we'll help him fix his bugs.
Too many bugs. He said he's gonna sort some stuff out and then jump back on next week.
All right, we created Sparse Mario here. I'm not sure what we created exactly, Mario, but we created something and it's got your name on it. So if anyone has any
I hope
problems,
it's
talk to
good.
Mario.
I hope it's good.
I'm blaming Mario for any problems. All right, so we basically we created a super fast diffusion model. Apparently, what the heck can we use this for? What can we use this for? And I'm gonna now. Last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a detailed gist with understandable introduction, features, and use, and include a shout out to Mario. How do you spell your last name? There we go.
VIN. Yeah, that's.
There we go. You're making it on my gist today. So that's it. That's how I build pretty much everything.
So that branch is live right now?
Yeah, Sparse Mario, apparently.
Okay.
And pick a domain you value 5. Yeah, this looks pretty cool, actually. I think it might be actually kind of useful. There we go. What else are you guys building?
Rob wanted me to show the job board. You guys still want to do that?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it. That job.
I was also going to say,
amazing.
Mon, you look at my GitHub. I've spent the last 4 or 5 months working on an augmentation of NeuralTrader that is meant to involve other streams of wealth building, and more in line with what you're talking about as far as day trading and picking a system that works. And then I brought in like OpenClaw to do scheduling and all that, just to kind of fool around with that and whatever. Anyway, I updated the repo, and if you want to take a look at that, or anybody else, if they're interested, go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Maybe revealing.
Yeah, Chris, could you please share the link?
Right, like I lost about 50 grand on paper because Alpaca gives you the 100 grand in paper trading, but actually after that, I learned, I had gone from like more volatile movers looking to get quick wins with another type of thesis for day trading, and then I went to a more proven strategy for Fortune F500s. And that's been paying off. It helps when you're not in like one of the most volatile markets, going. But still, I wanted to be able to win then too. As Ruben was saying, like up, down, all around, you should be able to make money. Anyway.
And remember, the only money you need to make is the difference between what it costs for the trade and some slight delta beyond. You're not looking for like I'm going to make 10% on one trade. The only way you do that is if you're in like the U.S. administration. But if what you really want to do, what you really want to do is
try to begin to predict the actions of the U.S. administration if you can.
Yeah, exactly. So a 0.01 gain above the delta of the cost of the trade 1,000 times is doable.
Yep. Yeah. Right. So I appreciate Rob bringing this to everyone's attention. Kind of what Ocean is dealing with. We have a few bugs. We got on the call yesterday. We have a weekly call about the jobs initiative between Nick and Matt Matthews and I. And right now, I think I'm the only profile, but that can change. We found a couple of different fundamental bugs, and then I jumped on them yesterday. But I've been hoping to try to test through them this morning, but I honestly didn't know I was going to be doing this until earlier. So in any case, we can just take a look at what's going on. In general, once there are profiles, we've got an easy semantic filtering here of, whatever it is our particular content is. We have a jobs list, trying to seed some seed jobs right now. We have a multi-stepped form job form that takes people through and takes relevant data, posting that to our jobs list. It's pretty comprehensive, so that helps us get a fair amount of attributes to be able to help people with matching. We do have a match semantic system that is using RuVector find me whatever, because I'm the only profile. But I actually have this implementation working in my other project for my company that has about 18,000 profiles, and it works quite well. So, including down to location. And then the idea here is to be able to have a conversational search that's similar to ChatGPT, or at least, I mean, the models change their UI methods so often, more so where there would be a question, do you want me to do this? You want me to run a background check on, Reuven because I like him and, or whatever, or do you want me to run through this, contact these folks for interviews, et cetera. So what would be our next action would kind of be posted in that conversational thread is the goal that's evolving towards. Looks like our notifications aren't working. We also have, of course, a profile. We have a dashboard first. We have a dashboard that is going to be tracking engagements, their offers. Also, there's ability to have an offer, move from it was received to I accept, track what my past engagements were. We have our profile that was generated in the candidate registration flow from a parsed resume. That's all working well. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. There's a few things that aren't populating, like education, looks like employment history too. So I'll get that sussed out, really not too big of a deal, but in general, things work. We can update the data. We have a settings. We can connect some different things and so forth. We're looking to be able to connect to GitHub and be able to display a individual's work in a profile block here. This wasn't working before, so let me see. It still doesn't work. We also let's see here, have the ability to manage our engagements. And here, let me see. I was looking at this before. Yeah, so I have the ability to generate an invoice. I have the ability to log time on my invoice. That then goes to whoever it is the sponsor of this particular platform, which happens to be us, the Agentics Foundation. We then have the opportunity to review that invoice from the individual, as well as just automatically mark it up, apply our platform fee, which is our model in this case, and that is then rebilled to the client who had engaged the individual on the engagement. Also nice, I find, as somebody who's operated one-sided platforms where, you have something just for job seekers and just for employers and humans in the middle. This platform is more like an Upwork, where you do have the opportunity to toggle. You could be either, right, as many small business people are, right. I might be a candidate one day and I'm employing a few people for my needs on another engagement, and so I am both employer and job seeker. This dashboard would then allow me to do that same thing. I get bills, I can make payments, I have engagements that I'm tracking. Also, I don't see here, but I have the ability to schedule interviews with my job seeker. That would most likely show up on our public profile. So I don't, that isn't working, but it does work as far as the interview is connected to either Google or Outlook, and therefore, the employer as well as job seeker can show available times that they have on their calendar, to avoid that kind of ridiculous redundancy and, save time for people and make it a more pleasing experience. From there, we have, of course, at our disposal, a lot of different work, including the Pi Brain, and Rube's done some work on a job board recently that's doing some predictive stuff, where one would have the ability to make suggestions based on your job. Of course, pretty simple. I post a job, here are matches. But where I want to take it, and he resonated with this when we discussed it just the other day, is basically look for jobs out there of potential employers that might be aligned, in effect, who is not aligned these days with, agentic, skilled agentic individuals. Find those jobs and then use that as a lead generation to contact them and say, hey, we've got these matches for you. Why don't you sign up? And the idea there is all of this is free until they hire. And the only other thing that we do here is we're pushing folks to be members of the foundation as either employers or individual members. And so, it brings in revenue from both sides, from the activities of either contract engagements or direct engagements, and then also using it as a brand toe in the water and a drip to engage folks as members. So that's pretty much it right now.
Nice. Looks great, Chris. This is a spectacular job board you've put together.
Thank you.
Couple notes. While I was the beta tester on this one, and I use the an agent sort of playwright approach to sort of navigate the site and find all the little bugs here and there. It's a really good way to handle like such a large sort of site.
Yeah.
So if anyone's looking at like how do you debug end to end using the UI itself, I of course I've created my agent browser system that basically uses Playwright to do that. I think it missed a few things, but generally speaking, it found and fixed just about everything. So looks good, really good.
Yeah, and it's good, but then I will caveat that by saying, just because like I'm venting, it you can't trust everything, and the moment you go in and try to check a flow that is a core functionality, like we did yesterday, it was like, oh, this, the components are there, yeah, but the route's wrong, whatever, so we still, right, we still have to check things. And then I went out to dinner with my wife last night, who's in IT, and she's like, yeah, I really like this person, but they miss big things. I was like, they're a professional tester, and I was like, oh yeah, well, it's pretty much like working with Claude and Playwright, except they're a human. So yeah, I mean, it's great because of the volume that you can crush, with something like Playwright and dev tools and all that. But you still gotta go through your flow, and prove to yourself for sure before slapping your name on it, I think.
And what do you need from us to get this thing to pass the finish line?
I think that like I had committed on Monday to by Monday this coming to feel like we could invite folks that join these kind of calls to set up profiles. And I think we have a job board channel in Discord, and I believe most people are keyed into that. So rather than having them report to GitHub, and have to be part of the repo or anything like that, I think it would be nice if they could just post to Discord and let us know if there are things that come up. But other than that, I've asked Matt, the inner circle, Matt and Nick, to continue going through the launch checklist. Ruth, if you, of course, feel like you want to do that, or lean on anybody else to help do that, that's keyed into the repo and has access to the GitHub issues, it's welcome.
Okay. So I guess we should probably add ourselves as the initial experts, I think.
Yeah.
And there's an MCP component. I don't know if we've made that available to everybody yet, but it allows, if you're feeling lazy, to interact with it through your favorite sort of MCP enabled tool, right? Or maybe I didn't tell you. I added an MCP tool.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that. And I have asked Claude to kind of detail, what you had done, and who the hell knows, you know what I mean? I could have easily seen that, but no, I missed that. And I don't know what it does.
Well, the idea was, I think, and maybe I'm confusing it with another project, but I think I did. But anyway, is you could ask Claude to create your resume and your profile rather than going through the several steps of the UI.
Hey,
I don't know about
in
you, but
true
I'm a little
Agentic
lazy.
fashion, I'm just trying now to
Yeah.
get it to post some jobs because he's like, oh, post the best way is for you to post them through the UI. I'm like, buddy, no. All right. You know what I mean? I'm not going through my 7-step job board to post a few seed jobs prior to the demo here. You got to be kidding me,
Yeah, exactly.
Never ending. Man.
Just put it in the database and then give me make the job,
and put them in my profile. Damn it, you know what I mean? God,
yeah,
I've only
think
asked them 4 times.
I think that's the heart of why you want to use MCPs, because it's just sometimes easier to get Claude to do it.
Yeah. It's operative word being sometimes. In any case, thanks for taking a look, everybody.
No, great work. Looks amazing. Right. Well, this is the open mic segment. Anyone else have anything they want to present, demo, talk about, display, whatever? This is your chance.
I would like to share something.
Okay, Joseph, go
Hey
for
guys,
it.
it's been a while, guys. I hope everyone's doing well. So yeah, what I want to share is something I've been working on for a while. I call it the Synaptic Tuner. And the idea is that I'm just trying to build an open source way to build a custom LLM from soup to nuts. So it has kind of 3 different parts of the pipeline all in one. The first is the actual synthetic data generation, either through seed data or I don't know, whatever you say. I want synthetic data on whatever. It'll build all that out. You can run it. It creates everything. Then it'll actually fine tune the model based on that data. And then you can actually create your evaluations to see, did the model that I tried to, fine tune actually do the things that I wanted to do? And then obviously you can deploy. There's a local version and a cloud version in terms of where you're doing the training. So I don't know if you guys have done fine tuning, like the biggest issue is all these stupid pip dependencies that you got to deal with. So I've set it up to all be sort of Docker focused, so that you can spin up that Docker either locally or right now I just have Hugging Face. Eventually I'm going to build out some of the other providers like RunPod and Nebius and all those other folks. So if you don't have the local hardware, you can just toss it on the cloud to do whatever you want to do. Obviously there's still bugs and whatever, but I'm also trying to give you options in terms of the type of training you do. So supervised fine tuning is definitely the one I've practiced with the most, and I'm fairly confident. Right now, I'm trying to get GRPO to work reliably, and not just normal GRPO. To me, the most important form of GRPO is the environmental one, where you actually give it an environment to interact with, right? And then your reward system or whatever. So you can train it against like long horizon multi-tool use types of things. So that's the thing I'm trying to bang out. Actually, right now I have Codex running in the background on this kind of like loop. And because this is the entire sort of arc of training, you can do sort of the auto research. I swear to God, I was doing it before Andre Karpathy brought it up, but you can do this full cycle of self improvement where it actually looks at the evaluation, right? And it can make hypotheses and either generate new data, update existing data, change the hyperparameters, whatever it is, and run it through again. And it can just keep doing that essentially until it like passes the evaluation. Now, of course, you have to be careful about over optimization. You have to have good evaluations and whatever. But the idea is like once you get it running, you should be able to be pretty hands off and just let it go through the cycle. I've also added traditional machine learning things. There's something called Light GBM. I don't know. There's a ton of these models, right? You guys know about them. So you can do traditional machine learning as well on this, but the idea I had actually was as part of that research loop, let it use machine learning models against the data you've created. So you can actually figure out which like lines of data, like conversations, whatever, are leading to the best outcomes in terms of your evaluation. So you can continue to do this like pruning of the data set and expanding the data set in terms of like getting rid of the things that aren't very helpful and adding things that are going to help, push it over the line in terms of what you're trying to do. Is it an unsloth wrapper? A little bit, at least for the fine tuning part. but it does use VLLM a lot in terms of all the generation, and the synthetic training data part of it is completely built by me, and follows this pattern of there's multiple stages, right? You tell it kind of what you want to do. It'll build a scenario, and then it goes through some of that scenario, right, is things that you can programmatically test. So for example, a tool shape, you can confirm or deny. That's a Boolean. But then there's the like squishy stuff. And in that case, you can use LLM as a judge to essentially be like, hey, this is what I'm looking for based on a rubric or whatever. It is all very much config driven, so you shouldn't have to touch any of the actual code itself. The idea is everything is just a YAML file at every single stage of this. And it's all agentically driven. So if you go through, you're going to see I have all these skills that it just uses to do everything agentically. There is a TUI you can use, but you should not be using the TUI, right? You should just be like, hey, Claude, fine tune a model that does X, and it should be able to do everything. So
nice.
Yeah, that's my my thing, and I'd love it if people could test it out, give me some feedback, post some issues.
Could you share the link?
Yes,
okay.
Yeah, I'll share the link. I'll share the link.
Nice work. This looks awesome. Have you looked at including micro LoRa as part of your fine tuning process?
No, not yet. So I'm trying to get the basics first, right? But the idea here is I do want it to be very easy for people to like hook on new things whenever they want, like just by either adding a file or again a config just to like turn something on.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. It looks nice work. So set and forget model creation.
Well, that's the dream, right? Obviously, again, got to keep going through it. But yeah, I have one toy use case where essentially I want it to memorize a tool set. So you don't have to give it the tools, right, as part of its context window, and then it be able to use those tools appropriately. So the process has been SFT, so it learns the tool shapes, and then I don't have to tell it what the tools are. And now I'm doing the environmental GRPO, so it learns these like multi-step, long horizon type of tasks.
Cool. Well, definitely useful. Nice work on that. How long you been working on that?
I don't know. It's probably been about a year. At this point, I've been pounding away at it. Mostly starting with the synthetic data generation stuff. It took a while for like the fine tuning stuff to get reliable enough, I would say, and accessible enough. So the fine tuning stuff has been more recent.
Okay. Well, and where's the link in the chat?
Yep, I just stuck it in the chat.
All right, I'll give you a star.
I appreciate it.
That's the least we can do, right? All right, here it is. Okay, one more star for you.
I like how the stars are shooting up, like.
Yeah, it helps. The trick for me in these star things is whenever I publish something new, publish it as a gist. I don't know, seems to get picked up by Google real quick. And add those, where you have your description in your repo, make sure you include use it like an SEO sort of tagging. So find, the sort of trending topics in GitHub that are somewhat related to the area you're in, but are not dominated by like projects with 10,000 stars kind of thing. And you'll get found and more easily. So it's a little bit of both those things that helps your projects get discovered. At least that's how I do it anyway. All right. What else we got here, guys? Any comments, or are we calling it a day here? We got a quiet crew. No, yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. Oh, how would I formulate it? So maybe can I ask you about some, I don't know, manual for the like this books like for absolutely dumb people to start working with the Ruflow, because I use it for a couple of months, but still have issues with daemon and the memory databases. And I run through the different papers trying to figure it out, but unfortunately I can't. And unfortunately, the videos, what I look at the YouTube and whatever, they are quite outdated. Yeah, so they not answer to me the questions how to make it run and work. Sorry, my English. That's the question.
Are you running the daemon on Windows, Mac, or Linux?
Mac in CLI.
Yeah, there's been some bugs in the daemon. It should be working as of today. Most of the bugs were Windows related. I didn't see too many for Mac or any, but doesn't necessarily mean they weren't there. So the a lot of the just a reminder that the daemon was meant to be a secondary agent that ran independently of the primary Claude thread. So you could spawn these kind of agents that would use the dash P or other sort of agent structures, what's called RV agent, independently of the core kind of runtime of Claude. And the idea was to save you money, run it against cheaper models or just vector style environments and things that don't consume Claude tokens. The challenge was the threading of that when meant that often the daemon would fail and the system wouldn't realize that it had failed and couldn't recover. This was particularly problematic on Windows, and I think the reason on Windows was the installation process. A bunch of systems thought that these daemons were essentially viruses. So the Windows defense or something like that would basically kill them. And the only real way around that, I think, on Windows was to create a kind of executable installer that with the crypto signature that Windows requires for that. And I couldn't be bothered to go through the rigmarole of creating a Windows installer, but that I think solves the Windows issue potentially. The Mac, my guess, possibly the same, but again, I'm doing a lot of my Rootflow development on a Mac. So if you have a particular problem, you'll have to do an issue and let me know. Again, Classic works for me. Doesn't necessarily mean it works for anybody else, but I'm doing my almost all my Rootflow development on a Mac Studio, which is basically I think something like more than half of the users at this point are on Mac, essentially. So I figured I'd just go with whatever everyone else was using. I don't know if that's it. As for like how to get it working, the idea was to ask Claude. So the trick might be to install some of the plugins from the marketplace. Don't necessarily install all of them. Start with a subset of the things you want. Like if you're looking to do X, just install that. The intelligent one's useful. The federation capability is kind of cool. Like I use the federation across multiple machines that I have here in my office. So it's kind of I've got agents running on my Linux machine, my Mac, my Windows, and whatever. And I use a tailscale network to connect them all together. So they're all kind of doing their thing together. I don't know. It does a lot. What can I say? I went overboard. Way overboard.
Yeah, I understand. And maybe that's just an idea. The creating kind of the walkthroughs for the beginners, I don't know, for the middle developers, whatever. Yeah, based on your experience, based on your projects, not uncovering some details here, but pass through the process, how to make it work.
Okay. Like a little YouTube shorts. Here's 2 minutes and how I got my NeuroTrader running and how you can deploy a cluster or federation or train a language model or get it to self-learn and whatever. There's again thousands of different ways it can be used. To be honest, my
Sounds
problem is I
like your
just don't
new
have enough time.
TikTok agenda right there. That's it. Forget it. It'll be blown up.
Yeah, well, the reason I'm getting so much traffic right now is the random TikTokers are doing that, and then some guy
Exactly.
created this thing. I'm like, why can't any of these TikTokers say rather than say someone did this thing? Why not just mention the guy that actually did it? And like every single one of these TikToks involved like some random person, which is me, or did this thing. Is that like I don't know. Anyway, I digress.
They love the gatekeep roof. That's what it is.
Yeah,
It's all
lead
about the
gen.
gatekeep. They're like I'll send you the link. Send me a DM and I'll send you the link to
Yeah.
Roof Flow. You know,
Just use Google. You'll find it.
Well, whatever they're doing, it's generating a ton of traffic. So, people are smart enough to use Google. So, I assume that's the case because when I look at the stats, I see, 200 or 300,000 views this week, and almost like 60% of it is from Google, which is weird, right? So my thinking is somewhere, someone on some social media did a video, it went viral, they gatekeeped it, like as Nick mentioned, and then the people go to Google and search for it, and they find me. That's my hypothesis currently. Let me just double check the demon. So you when you said your demon wasn't working, the secondary demon.
The daemon, the memory database, even I really confused with the doctor because it's continued to mention the Cloudflare and Agentic floor, and it doesn't work even if I install it.
That's interesting. I'm just running my unit tests. Everything seems to be passing currently. I don't know. If you get a specific error, let me know.
Okay.
It's very well might not work. Just because it works for me doesn't necessarily mean it works for you. But currently it's working for me.
Yeah, if you want, you can ping me. I've been writing a lot of stuff to kind of bootstrap and get things started for dummies, just for myself, and maybe I can provide you with some insight.
Great, thank you very much. Yeah.
I'm just gonna do another just quick review. Maybe I'll test it on another machine. I did, but in fairness, on
I had reported an important issue on the latest RU vector because it wouldn't install at all on Windows. There's something missing in the packaging. I don't know if you fixed it or that could
when
be.
you report that, I did a issue. So every morning I get up and take a look at the various issues, which is a lot these days across my various projects. And I did run that for Brew Vector earlier this morning. So
okay, I'll check it out, but that could be a problem.
Possibly.
Yeah, I had to pin to an older version because the new one, if you install from scratch, if you've installed different version, might not show. But if you install from scratch, wouldn't work.
On Windows?
Yeah, the test was on Windows. I can ping you with the exact thing, or I can look at it first.
Okay. Yeah, I just in fairness, I do the least amount of testing on Windows. Most of the things I do the testing on is on well, Mac or Linux, but I do have some Windows test or build scripts. I don't know. Let me know. I'll fix it if there's an issue.
Yep.
Yeah, the challenge is there's so many different environments to cover, right? It's like just because it works on Mac or Linux doesn't necessarily mean it works, on Windows. So it's like an endless sort of pushing a string or something, which is my own fault for creating so many projects, I guess.
Hey, Rolf, what helps for me actually for this, it's if you set up Sentry, you can collect like everybody's crashes, and I can share like I made the Sentry tool that basically you plug it into the Cloud Code that goes into Sentry and see like what the crashes are and like how.
Oh, okay. Yeah, send that over. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'll probably demo. It's actually, I mean, it's like yours, like it's probably. I can maybe demo it next meeting.
Okay.
Like, with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds useful. I struggle because I don't want to provide. I don't want to send any telemetrics back to me because I don't like being monitored myself, and I get so much, so many haters already saying that I'm like a virus trying to steal stuff. I'm not, obviously. So I'm like overly paranoid about any kind of telemetrics. So
Yeah. Country, I mean,
I'm
they have
always
a they have a SaaS offering, and then I mean, they start. I think they're free for open source, and they kind of charge at the like when the traffic. So if you're like a hobby project or like an open source, like they will like it's free. And
okay.
if it's not
Yeah.
free, it might
Well,
be still useful because it collects enough crashes. It resets every month, right? So you collect everybody like
well,
whatever first week of
or I could figure. Or we could figure out a way to do that without sending the information back to me or the central server, and then they just post it to like GitHub, the GitHub issue or something.
Oh,
Um,
but Sentry is like it's unobtrusive, like it just sends stuff, like, and the Cloud Code just reads it, so there is no user kind of involvement needed. Like that's the yeah.
all right. While you guys were demoing the gist for Mario's diffusion finally finished. So it looks like we've got some kind of diffusion model. I'm not sure what exactly to do with this diffusion model, but we do have one now. Shows how quickly you can build these models.
I'll
And
definitely
I'm
test it.
Yeah, well, your name's on it, Sparse Mario. So yeah,
I want to make sure it works and it's useful.
I'm sure it's useful. According to Claude, it's useful. And I'm creating a
Probably need
new.
yeah. There's a use case you can do, but you probably need another couple ADRs. Like if you have video recording of this meeting, you can collect sort of create the enough samples for reinforcement learning or whatever the fine tuning is, and just fine tune like one of the open source models to recreate the video of these meetings and make people like
Yeah.
do stuff.
Most of the models that I use are well, the larger models are Gwen. I find it easy to work with, and the smaller models I use Phi 3, and the tiny LLM was the one I used for the on the Pi 0.
Yeah,
Nice. There's
the recent Quen is very good actually. It's
yeah. All right.
Which one?
Sorry. What was the question?
Which model is pretty good, Vlad?
the Quen. I mean the
Oh, the
Chinese
Quen.
model. Yeah, every time I look at them every 2 months. Like every time you look, there is a whole bunch like appeared. They were not there. But Roof, you cannot tune Quen or the Phi because those are transformer models. You need to find the diffusion model to fine tune. Like I think there is stability. So if you poke around Hugging Face, there is a whole bunch of them there. Like it's.
Yeah, I think for the Sparse Mario, I think the system actually created its own diffusion model from scratch, as far as I can tell here.
Yeah, but you need to bootstrap it some way, so you need like shitload of training data to.
I don't. It's so just a heads up. I didn't tell it to call it Super Mario Brothers level generator. It dreamt that up itself. It's just a straight up. So it took some creative liberties with the description on that.
It's only 1,100 lines.
Well, that's because I've got a ton of different libraries.
Yeah, I
Right.
know.
So the benefit to the root vector stuff is it doesn't need to create everything. It just needs to import mostly what's already there and create some scaffolding around it. Remember that my approach is not volume. You notice I stopped bragging about cranking 1 million lines of code out a week. It's actually the ability to create a lot of things on 1,000 lines of code because it's sparse. Exactly, to Jim's point. Less is more, a minimalist. Why? And that's why I like Rust, right? I can build, I can build models. Like, for example, the Roov view trained model after I let it run for an evening was 8 kilobytes. It's a neural network that's 8 freaking kilobytes. That's the thing that I'm bragging about. Not the fact it's 8 gigabytes. It's the fact it can fit on an ESP32. That's the important part here.
Rue, you still taking
All right.
questions?
Sure. How's it going, Jim?
So I got a question. I can't remember rate of change. It feels like it's ages back, but you had a project where you had tuned an LLM specifically, essentially, with all the mathematical models for DNA sequencing. And I was
Yes,
curious
I
which
do.
project that was because I had an application where I wanted to take a mathematical modeling for agriculture and see if I could apply and embed it into the LLM in a similar vein.
Yeah, I called it RVDNA. And where the heck did I put that? It's in here. I found it. Let me share my screen. I should probably make this. I should sparsify this further. And where's I lost my Zoom here for a minute.
But yeah,
All right.
the use case was just if I had another kind of mathematical paper essentially to feed it that wasn't DNA sequencing, could the same use case apply?
Yeah, that's a good question. All right. Sorry, the Zoom's giving me some trouble. One sec. All right, here we go. Screen one. All right, yeah, RVDNA. Now, what's interesting about RVDNA, I'll pop this in the chat for you. And there's some people, doing some really interesting stuff with the RVDNA. But yeah, so basically it's not using the language model, it's using the vector model for sort of a comparative analysis of the various structures of DNA. So this is the core parts. I just fed it my DNA and said what the heck can it learn? But it can correlate, it works super fast. So if you're looking to do like broad correlations between thousands of people in a few seconds, that's the kind of use case, or prediction of age or whatever, that kind of thing. And there's an RVDNA format. That was the basis of my RBF format. So after I did this, I'm like, oh, I should just do a broader format for all the stuff I'm doing. But this was the first.
Okay, thank you.
This is how it looks.
If I
Yeah.
come up with anything interesting, I'll share it.
As Antoinetta will tell you, whenever working with your own DNA, be careful. There's this whole ethical thing
Oh,
in regards
I
to.
actually I want to. So I'm going to take a look at this, and I'm going to see if instead of DNA, I've got essentially a long mathematical paper that was working with sugarcane forecasting of all things because it's like
Oh, I
bamboo,
think, yeah,
right? And so
it
I've
might.
got a different model that I want down to kind of that file size because the use case was kind of similar. All of the data actually was so well meticulously put together. There literally wasn't it was like trying to sequence DNA when we got into the number of calculations. And so that's what made me think of this project.
Yeah, you might want to skip the DNA and go right to the RBF. The RBF might be more suited for what you're trying to do. So the
Okay,
RBF is the
awesome.
basis of the brain system that I've devised. So the brain system basically takes the data and creates a sort of cognitive container of sorts. And so I use it as a way to do definitive sort of data analytics. And then I can package it up and share it with whoever I did the data analytics for. And they can run it and get the same deterministic output.
Okay, awesome, cool.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
that might be better. Similar, but more in line with what you just described. Let me just pop that in the chat too, just so you have that. There's a lot of stuff. What can I say? I've also separated a few. I'm starting to separate some of these projects, the ones that take off, into separate repos. And that's what I did for the Rue Lake thing, and that's why I'm separating these things. The Rue Lake could also be useful for this. The benefit to Rue Lake is it creates a data lake structure. So if you need to allocate access roles and privileges and other things, this is a kind of more enterprisey implementation of what I was showing you earlier.
I'll probably, yeah, I started as a data analytics guy, and long story short, I actually saw RuFlow, last April, with someone on YouTube making a video about it that honestly I wouldn't use anything else that they have to say on their channel, but they did one video about you early in 25. So yeah, any of your content on YouTube is better than what's on YouTube.
Well, guess we should do some more YouTube videos.
Yes, you should. Speaking of which, are you available, Ruth, tomorrow for the South Florida Agentic?
I'm taking my boys on the Mother's Day weekend to open up my lake house. What time? Ping me on WhatsApp.
Yeah,
I could probably dial in. I'm a good BSer. If you're looking for a pre-built presentation, I might not have that. But if you got some questions or you want me to just improvise for a bit, I could probably dial in if you don't mind me wearing my lake house attire.
We're just looking for classic roof.
Yeah,
that'd
just
be
ping
great.
me on
Thanks.
WhatsApp. And,
Will do.
and I think Nick's gonna be there too.
Yeah.
And Chris.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. And can anyone else dial in, or are you guys broadcasting this, or is it?
I'm gonna ask Mark that. I believe we should be able to do that, but I don't have it set up. But if we don't, then I'll add my Zoom to it, and we'll add that to the Luma link.
Yeah, we could hypothetically just use this or something. I think this is like an open Zoom that just basically, if you join it, you can just use it kind of thing. And it would I think it also has auto live stream.
Auto record? Yeah, okay,
and auto
good.
record. Basically, just I don't know. Nick's got agent access, so he just needs to log in with the agent account.
All right. Would tomorrow evening be easier at all? Like 6 to 7?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, we'll ping you.
Yeah, I'm building and cleaning up after a winter of whatever kind of thing.
Understood.
All right. Need a quick bio break before my next string of calls here. Hopefully this was helpful for everyone. Again, some really amazing demos here. And Stu, that demo you gave is spectacular. If you want to record a video, let me know. I'd love to put that on the review site as like, take that, haters.
Got it. All right. Thanks. I may
All
just
right.
do that.
Thanks,
Bye, all.
everyone.
Thank you.
Till next week.
Okay.